Humans are narrow-minded creatures who cannot tolerate too much knowledge. Therefore, in every industry, only the first is remembered and the second is forgotten. Resources also favor the wealthy and disdain the poor. Those who already have advantages will more easily obtain additional advantages and resource allocation, leading to the Matthew effect.
For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them.
Thus, an era can only accommodate one genius. If there is a second, they will inevitably clash, turning their relationship into a survival struggle. This is the genius incompatibility effect.
At 5 a.m. on August 6, 1890, William Francis Kemmler was awakened. That day, he would become the world's first person to be executed by electricity. After breakfast and prayer, Kemmler entered a room with 17 witnesses. The clock read 6:38 a.m. Kemmler was calm. Looking at the electric chair, he said,
"Gentlemen, I wish you all good luck. I believe I am going to a good place, and I am ready to go."
The execution began. The generator emitted 1,000 volts of AC for 17 seconds. Witnesses noticed that Kemmler was still breathing, so the operator raised the generator to 2,000 volts for a second round.
An awful odor began to permeate the death chamber. And then, as though to cap the climax of this fearful sight, it was seen that the hair under and around the electrode on the head and the flesh under and around the electrode at the base of the spine was singeing. The stench was unbearable.
The second application lasted 8 minutes. Several witnesses, unable to hold back their nausea, tried to leave the room. Thank goodness, Kemmler finally died from electrocution. The coroner's examination found that the blood vessels beneath his skull cap were carbonized, and the top of his brain had hardened. Witnesses reported the smell of burning flesh. The manufacturer of the generator, Westinghouse, commented,
"They would have done better using an axe."
Many people today remember this execution by electric chair, but they may not remember why Kemmler was sentenced to death. He was a vegetable vendor in the slums of Buffalo, New York, and a severe alcoholic. After a drinking binge, Kemmler got into an argument with his live-in girlfriend, Tilly Ziegler. Enraged, he killed Tilly with an axe. This is likely why the generator manufacturer, Westinghouse, later mentioned the use of an axe in its commentary on the execution process.
The initiator of this execution was Thomas Alva Edison, inventor of direct current. His goal was to slander his competitor, Nikola Tesla, the inventor of alternating current. Both men were geniuses gifted to humanity by God. Unfortunately, fate placed them on Earth at the same time, thus sparking a fierce business rivalry that could determine the outcome of their business. The enmity between geniuses is far more terrifying than that of ordinary people and can even lead to mortal conflict. The 2006 film The Prestige, which premiered at the Rome Film Festival on October 17, 2006, depicts this rivalry between Edison and Tesla. The film incorporates elements related to alternating current and legendary cloning. Yet such wars among geniuses can be traced to ancient Greek mythology. Perdix displayed astonishing talents from his youth. While observing fish spines by the sea, he mimicked their structure with iron, inventing the saw. He also joined two iron pieces together, riveted one end, and sharpened the other, inventing the world's first pair of compasses. Perdix's tragedy lay in showing his genius too early and having a talented uncle, Daedalus. Some versions even say Perdix was Daedalus's sister. Her gifted son's name was Talos, or Talus, or perhaps Callus. From childhood, Perdix studied in Daedalus's household. He was more talented than his teacher and invented the potter's wheel and some devices for construction projects. This earned him great fame, which eventually led to his death. People don't argue about rankings in terms of ideas, but they strive to be number one in practical technology, seeking to be the undisputed greatest inventor. Daedalus lured Perdix to the walls of the Athenian Acropolis and pushed him off when he was unguarded. After murdering his nephew, Daedalus was spotted burying the body by passers-by. When asked what he was doing, Daedalus replied he was burying a snake, thus foreshadowing his own death. However, the passers-by suspected foul play and reported it to the Athenian authorities. To evade trial, Daedalus first fled to Attica, whose inhabitants later became known as Daedalidi, named after him. Daedalus was eventually tried and banished or fled to Crete under King Minos' rule. Athena took pity on Perdix's talent and turned him into a partridge, which is the meaning of Perdix. This bird does not nest in high trees or fly to great heights, but frequents hedges. It is afraid of falling on its own. Athena also gave Daedalus a scar in the shape of a partridge as a warning. Daedalus was a highly skilled architect and craftsman, symbolizing wisdom, knowledge, and power. Thus, many ancient Greek inventions are attributed to his name, such as the axe, saw, glue, mast, and sail of ships. In Boeotia, a festival called Daedala celebrated the reconciliation of Zeus and Hera, but the name and rituals more likely commemorated Daedalus himself. The people of the city-state of Plataea in the region of Boeotia celebrate the Lesser Daedala festival every 4 years. Every 14 Lesser Daedala festivals, approximately every 60 years, all the people of Boeotia celebrate the Greater Daedala. During the festival, people would gather in an ancient oak forest, cut cooked meat into small pieces, and feed it to crows. They would carefully observe which tree the crow that ate the first piece of meat settled on. They would then carve a female figure from that tree and dress it up as a bride. The bride was placed on an ox cart, accompanied by a human bridesmaid. The cheering crowd parades together, pulling the statue back to the town from the banks of the Asopus River. This statue is known as the Daedala. Pausanias was a Greek geographer and traveler who lived during the Roman era in the 2nd century. He authored the description of Greece in 10 volumes. He believed that it was not the people who named the statue after Daedalus, but rather that Daedalus's name derived from the statue known as Daedala. He specifically recorded the origins of the Daedalus festival.
Hera, they say, was for some reason or other angry with Zeus and had retreated to Euboea. Zeus, failing to make her change her mind, visited Kithaeron, at that time despot in Plataea, who surpassed all men for his cleverness. So he ordered Zeus to make an image of wood and to carry it wrapped up in a bullock wagon, and to say that he was celebrating his marriage with Plataea, the daughter of Asopus. So Zeus followed the advice of Kithaeron. Hera heard the news at once, and at once appeared on the scene. But when she came near the wagon and tore away the dress from the image, she was pleased at the deceit, on finding it a wooden image and not a bride, and was reconciled to Zeus. To commemorate this reconciliation, they celebrate a festival called Daedala, because the men of old time gave the name of Daedala to wooden images. The Plataeans hold the festival of the Daedala every 6 years, according to the local guide, but really at a shorter interval. I wanted very much to calculate exactly the interval between one Daedala and the next, but I was unable to do so. In this way, they celebrate the feast.
Daedala later evolved into a noun meaning inventor. Titus Lucretius Carus was a poet and philosopher of the late Roman Republic, renowned for his philosophical epic poem on the nature of things. He died by suicide at the age of 44. According to unreliable rumors, his wife, Lucilla, administered a toxic aphrodisiac to him, leading to his madness. During his periods of mental instability, he wrote numerous works. Ultimately, he took his own life due to the madness induced by the Aphrodisiac. Lucretius was the first to propose the idea of evolution. He believed that nature had been conducting endless experiments over millions of years, and only the organisms most adaptable to their environment could survive. Organisms could survive because their strength, speed, or intelligence corresponded to the external dynamics of their environment. Unfortunately, he did not believe that new species evolved from previously existing species. This left the opportunity for Charles Robert Darwin. Lucretius had a famous saying, "Natura Daedala rerum," meaning nature, the inventor of all things. Please subscribe to my channel. Our focus below is on the first flights in human history. That includes the bird wings imitated by Daedalus and the bird-feathered clothing made by the wives of Emperor Shun. In particular, the first human rocket flight occurred in the 14th century.